Welcome to Din's Talk, the space where soul wisdom meets bold action. I'm Mia Dins, your host, here to ignite your fire, help you claim your power, and guide you to take unstoppable steps towards your dream. Every episode is designed to awaken your purpose, fuel your passion, and spark transformation in your life. It's time to step into your truth and never stop. Let's dive in.
Hello, guys. Welcome. I'm so excited to share this episode with you with Julian, an astrologer, the London Astrologer, well known in the UK. It was such an amazing talk. We talk about astrology, about the divine order and his unique style to read a chart, but also we're doing a live reading parts of my charts and also astrocartography, which is amazing. I was blown away and I'm still processing everything, and it will be so interesting for you guys. And also we are having another episode coming after that and going more into detail about things, so I'm excited to share that with you. So I hope you will like it as much I did and have fun. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode on Din's Talk. I'm so excited for my today's episode, having this amazing, beautiful soul Julian on, and he is a well-known astrologer from the UK right here, and we will talk about a lot of things. He's not just an astrologer, obviously. He's a multidimensional being, has so many different gifts and insights that he brings in from his life. Does also a lot of different things, which I love, guys. You know, I always align with beings that are doing a lot of things, and that keeps the whole conversation interesting. Also, to let you know, guys, this is just the first episode out of two. And I'm sure there may be some more coming. And today we will just dive right into it. Also have a bit of an astrology reading of my own birth chart, which I'm very excited about. But no further ado, I know it's always hard to put it in one sentence, but I welcome you so much, Julian. Thank you for your time, for your beautiful precious time. I know you're also very busy. And can you firstly introduce yourself a little bit, but also what we just spoke offline before about the interactions that we had and how this is beautifully aligned with the astrology that is happening right now. I find it so beautiful.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mia. Thanks very much for the invite. And it's, I think we're gonna have a great podcast today. What we were just talking about was how right now the tension that's going on in the world. There's a lot of political tension. As you only have to pick up a newspaper or read the news and see what's going on. There's a whole bunch of things happening all at once. And in the sky at the moment, there are two alignments that are really worth noting. There's Mars square Uranus, which is happening kind of today. And then there's Jupiter square Saturn, which is happening tomorrow. Now, Jupiter square Saturn is only every few years. I mean, it's actually it's basically every sort of 4 to 5 years. 5 years, yeah. Jupiter makes a strong aspect to Saturn like this, and so there's a lot building up to that. But the Mars Uranus is also something that makes things quite unexpected, surprising, and different.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more to say on this, but I think what I was trying to say to you at the moment is and the first thing we need to look at with the idea of when there's big things going on in the world, and you can see it in the astrology, that means that also in each of our lives, in everybody's lives, there are things happening right at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, God, there's so much going on in the world at the moment. All these various things are airplane crashes, high-tech bombing raids, people protesting in LA. I mean, all this sort of stuff that's going on is also reflected in one's own experience, but at another level. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I must make some changes in my life. I must do this. I must do that. Oh, I wonder why I'm not getting on with so and so. I wonder why things are happening so fast in the changes I need to make in my life. Things like this. And so what we can look at today when we do your chart is we can see how the planetary aspects that are happening right now are also sort of reflected in the chart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's going to be exciting and interesting. And I am exactly what you just said. The whole thing about like, I mean, the recent full moon was very powerful, and the energies, of course, still lingering on. And for me, exactly, you spoke my soul language, as in like, I wanted to make changes. I can't keep going the way I'm doing. I need to change something in my structure. Like the whole clash. It was like a very, very strong energy about, like, of course, the Sagittarius energy as well, like breaking free, freedom lover and stuff. That I could really feel that. And also what I wanted to say, and also for the listeners, that's my own experience. The moment it always happens before like a transmission like that, like a podcast where we will talk about some, amazing topics also that will help souls out there who listen to this to expand. An expansion within us and within our vessel has to happen first. So that's why we had the disruption, like, just for you listeners, guys, I had a bit of technology trouble, ding ding again, like with setting up a laptop. So we had a little bit of a delay, and that's just for me a test. How was I handling it? I could have completely been like, oh, this is a whole like fuck up, and it's not working. But I was like, okay, let's get on with it. And I messaged you, Julian, and now we managed to be here,
Yeah.
which is beautiful with what we had. And that's my own learning. I don't know, have you experienced that in your life, that when you're about to do something bigger, especially when you put on a message out there for the collective, that you will get challenged just before?
Yeah. There's challenges are ongoing. I mean, always there's always something that sort of
Yeah,
pushes me forward or gets me motivated in a way, and but now we're here, it's happening,
it's
and
happening.
the recording is going on, and we're going to make something brilliant out of this. So let's
Absolutely.
talking.
And now you
Yeah.
have the stage to introduce yourself a little bit, because we completely jumped right in, but this is, my listeners are used to that, and it's beautiful. Just tell us a bit about yourself and where you are in the world right now, and then you can maybe talk when your journey with astrology began and what was your initiating experience. But first, just tell us a bit about you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually 57 years old, and I
Yeah.
discovered astrology when I was 21 years old. And I met some people who did my chart for me. They said, let's do your chart, And I won't go any time before that point in time, but I'll just say that's where it started. And immediately, I remember them pushing a chart across the table. They said, "Look, there's your chart," and I could see all the math on it, and I was just like, "Why wasn't I taught this at school?" To me, it was just like that was it. It's what we all needed to have, was this equivalent of a blueprint, of like saying, "Well, this is your map for life." But no one had ever mentioned this to me before, and it was like this wholly new discovery. And I was just like, "But this is amazing." I said, "There's so much in this, and how come we're not told about it? Why aren't we told about it?" And so that sort of set me on my path. I started reading astrology books very quickly, and sooner or later, I ended up going to India, and I lived in India for a number of years, in
Hmm.
the 90s, right up until about 1996 actually. So that would have been, I was going back and forth, about 6 or 7 years in India, going back and forth, and loved it there. Just because very peaceful life. I was a backpacker, but I was starting to get into astrology a bit. So, but I was shy of the math a bit. But eventually, I came back to England, and I was just like, you know what? I think I need to really study this astrology thing. So I really got serious with it, and did all the training that I could, which included some really nice things like summer schools at Oxford University, and there were things I could do that were really quite high level, academia basically. And I got the diploma, which is quite a rare award.
Hmm.
There's only one internationally recognized diploma for astrology, and they don't give out that many of them. So, but I was so into it, I was just like, I've got to know this. I've got to get, really do this thing. So that's what I did, and 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 then I've travelled quite a bit more. I like Australia, New Zealand. I've been to Thailand and Bali, and various other places. America quite a lot. I go to America fair bit. I ended up becoming a dad. I've had my daughter's 15 years old, and she was born in the United States, but we live
Hmm.
here on the south coast of England. So I'm about 50 miles away from London, on
Hmm.
and the beach is 20 minutes walk away, and
Wow.
it's a fairly, I feel like I could really promote myself more, but I don't, which is why I've discovered podcasting, by the way. Just, it was a recent thing. It just dawned on me that I
Yeah.
could do this. And
Yeah.
so here I am.
I know, it's beautiful. I love it. And because I know we hit it off. We had when we first connected, we talked for an hour and we were like, oh my gosh, this is like going on. We should have recorded already back then. And it was just beautiful. And I knew you were ready. You have to get on here and talk about all that, because I also know you have so much knowledge. And coming back to the travel part, you saw, like you saw a lot of different parts of the world. How did that, where did each place shift something within you? Because that's my experience. When I go somewhere,
Yeah.
you can feel the energy grid, and does it awaken certain parts
Well,
within you?
I do think so. I think part of the traveling, and to be absolutely honest with you, I'm getting ready to do more traveling. I feel that I've been focused on bringing up my daughter because I thought that was very important to do, to really focus. And but now she's kind of almost grown up, so I'm almost ready to go and see the rest of the world. I want to go and see all the bits that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
so I'm thinking that there's a lot to go and see, and so with that in mind, I'm going to be using astrology again because there's a technique in astrology called astrocartography. And astrocartography is taking a map of the world and putting your birth chart on top of it and then working out where the energies are. Yeah. And when you find the energies, then you can make the most of them.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things I'm going to be doing in this podcast with you. That I'll be showing you that, as a thing. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can sort of work with that if you like.
Yeah, and I'm excited about that because we spoke already about that before with New Zealand and the experience. But first, before, because some listeners may hear about astrology the very first time, like just to wind it back. And I know you work one-on-one with clients as well, and you also have your own astrology course, which of course people
Yeah.
can access,
Yeah.
and I will leave all the details in the description box below. But what in general, like, what would you say, like, to people? You said it so beautifully when you were 20 and you saw your birth chart the very first time, and you thought, oh my gosh, nobody taught me that in school. That should have been a subject. Now I totally agree. I totally agree, because it's the map of your soul. But what do you, how do you, what would be like a, 1, 2, 3 sentence about astrology for you? What does it mean and how to use it? How would you explain that to someone? Why it is actually amazing and essential for someone to know your personal birth chart?
Well, because people without knowing it go through life with not knowing themselves as quickly or as easily, or having the lessons delivered to them in a way that helps them learn or understand themselves. So it's like, why this? Why does this happen to me? Why are my relationships like this? Why is my career like that? Why is my family like this? Why is all these things happen to me in the way that they do? Astrology has an answer for everything. So astrology gives you the answers, and it says, well, that's the reasons why. And it's because you were born at a certain moment in time. So, and astrology is very mystical in that way, because it doesn't, I'm not going to say that I provide the actual answer, but I provide, astrology is what's called empirical, which means through thousands of years of seeing the alignments of the planets and noting them down. And that goes right back to the Babylonian priests who watched the rising and setting of various planets on the horizon. They go right back to that. So, and they would be saying, oh, Venus just rose as a morning star, and therefore, something's going to happen. The sheep will escape from the pen, and the shepherds won't be able to find them. I mean, I'm talking 3,500 BC here, but that's the
Mhm.
sort of thing. They would correlate events because things would happen in the sky. They'd see the same thing happen down on Earth, and so
Mm.
it's the link between the heavens, and the Earth. And I say heavens with an S on the end because it's 7 planets, and each planet is its own heaven. So it's like
Mhm.
layer upon layer upon layer of consciousness.
Yeah.
So and it's all happening here at the same time. And astrology is very complex as well, because you can't just, you have to unify it as the one thing, because of course each of us is a singular person. We're one sort of combination of all the things together. So astrology is many layers as well. So each planet is a different type of understanding of the self. You know, we're
Mhm.
comprised of many different parts of of consciousness.
Mhm.
At the center of it all is awareness, which is what is important about things like Buddhism. It's the fact that we are just alive. We're alive and we're living and we're being, and we are our, you know, we are at our centers, we are alive, and then out from that is the movement of mind. So the mind
Mhm.
then starts moving, and the mind never really stops moving because it's a constant flow. You know, I like to use the metaphor of the raging river. You know, you can be taken by the river, you know, wild rapids, you know, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's quiet areas, or it's pools, or it's, you know, waterfalls, or well, you know, or it's rainstorms, or you know, it's this idea of a movement of water.
Yeah.
If you do meditation and become aware of awareness of your own innate awareness within, then you can stand on the side of the river and look at it and say, ah, there it is flowing, but I'm not going to step into that today. You know, I can just step back from it a bit and go, ah, there it is, you know. And that's always quite a useful place to be in, because that brings about then understanding of things like wisdom, repetitive sequences. So it's like, well, every month I'm feeling like something happens that, you know, I get triggered by something, or, you know, if you stand back and look at it, you can say, ah, I can see that pattern, you know. Then astrology is the next layer on top of that that says, there's that pattern that you keep repeating in your life, but in your chart, or in the, you know, the map of your birth, then you can see that pattern as a thing between various planets.
Mhm. I
Okay.
love that. It's basically like a navigation, it's like a map, right? A map, and you
Yes,
decide. You
it's
can,
absolutely a map. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
You
it's very precise, you know.
mhm.
I mean, right down to the minute type of precise, you know. Yeah.
It is. I know.
Mm.
So many people underestimate the power of that. And as I told you, and then and most of my listeners know that I have dabbled into that. I'm a hobby astrologer, intuitive, right? Very intuitive. But the science-based foundation is still like I'm, missing that part, which we spoke about, and I'm absolutely keen to do possibly your course, at some point. I mean, I have so much going on right now. It's not my focus, but I would love to, because that's when it really backs it up. And then you really be like, I feel like I find it amazing, and you can never make that up. You can't make it up, and it's not about, you know, that's what my personal belief is. It's not about getting caught up in it and be like, oh, Mercury is that and Saturn is that, but being aware, like you just said it beautifully, and then decide, make your own decision. What do I need to adjust in order to, flow with that energy,
Yeah.
or what does
Yeah.
it activate within me? What is my learning here? What is my lesson? And to be very aware and self-conscious about that. Yeah. So I think it's very, very powerful. Honestly, guys, if you haven't had a reading done of your birth chart, if you don't know anything about it, please send us a message, and Julian will do that for you 100%.
Absolutely.
And for you personally, I had one question. Like, it's as unique as your fingerprint, right? The birth chart.
Yeah.
And when people sometimes ask or have this question, what about the twins? They have all also, the birth chart of twins,
Yeah.
like because they're obviously born one after another, not at the exact time. It's still very much
Mm.
there are differences, right?
Mm.
Different nuances in the
Yeah.
chart.
Yeah. What happened there? I understand. I'll give you the answer to that, because when I was younger, I had a girlfriend who had a brother and a sister. She was a triplet,
Oh
and they were
yeah,
born
wow.
by C-section. So they're all born basically within about 1 minute of each other. You know, it's like boom, boom, boom. You know, and so they all had the same chart. There was hardly any difference in the chart. I mean, there was like, it was actually, there was no difference in the charts. They were all the same, and and but what I've noticed was that different events would happen to them. Yeah,
Mm.
at the same time. Yeah. So one bought a house when one lost a job, one moved abroad when one got married. Yeah. And things like that, right? There were things happening, different things happening. And I was thinking about this a lot, because what is happening is the moment of birth, we are technically, yes, born in the same place at the same time. So they would have appeared in the same place at the same time. They all were born at the same time, and they all took their first breath around about the same time. But then their own personal experiences about life changed from that point onwards. So one of them might have been, so say, school years or something, as they were growing up. One might have been in the playground while one was in the classroom. One might have been in the dining hall when one, and because they were in different places at different times, they were having different experiences. And the different experiences become memories in consciousness that set up different patterns of the ways of thinking.
Yeah.
So they might have had different ways of seeing the world, even though they had the same basic planetary energies that can give them, that will deliver a set of predestined outcomes, if you like, right?
Mm.
They would still have their own personal, unique memory set of things going on. Yeah. They could go to a party together. Say then their grown-up years, they could go to three of them to go together to one party. But one might be in the kitchen while one's on the dance floor and the other one's on the outdoors terrace, or
Mm.
whatever, and they're having three different experiences at the same moment of time. But the point being is that they're having different things going on that then set them up. One had great fun, one didn't have fun. One was like, don't know why I'm here, right? Yeah, and then party wise, and so they're like, three different reasons, yeah, that they then take away from that, have as memories, and that then changes their consciousness. Is this making sense to you? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
So even though they have those the core energies, now the reason why astrology is so mind-blowingly good for people to see your chart is to know those core energies, because then you're like, oh my God, because it kind of gets to the center, it spirals back down. So you spiral
Yeah.
back down to the core root of what it is. Yeah. So you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that I had this planet doing that. And then you can think about all the different layers in your lifetime where you've had different responses to things, different reactions, different developments have occurred, but at its core basis is that planet in that sign, in that house, in that aspect, doing the condition. It's called in astrology the condition of the planet, which is the basic core energy.
Mm.
That is what brings about the wisdom and understanding
Mm.
yourself and knowing yourself. Because once you get that core understanding, then you go, wow, now I know where I'm at, right? Now I know, and then all the other things that happen in the world are like, again, it's like this idea of stepping back from the raging river. Because once you've got the core basis, you can say, well, do I step into the river to encounter that particular thing that's happening at the moment, or shall I just say, I know what that is, I'll step back, and then you kind of get the wisdom from it. You can become more of the objective observer, rather than drawn into the subjective kind of
Hmm. Yeah.
sort of thing.
I
Yeah,
am absolutely loving it. And I know we are similar in that way. It's about like getting to know yourself, because more and more and more, there's so much depth to it, right? So many layers. And why wouldn't you? I always say that, why wouldn't you want to get to know yourself? Because one thing is for sure, you are the one who will spend the rest of your life with. That's 100% sure. You are the one person you spend the rest of your life with. And that's why I'm always saying getting to know yourself versus the foundation of everything else, because it is everything else is just a reflection of you. That's why I'm like so intrigued. And when you talk about these events and different choices, and of course we have the free will, and that is very important always to put it out there to people. We have a free will, and it's like an archetypal language, symbolic language, which is very accurate. And
yeah,
you can choose,
yeah,
like you said with the river, you can choose. Yes, you jump in, you go with the current, or you're like, nah, I know what this is gonna happen, I'm just staying back, which is powerful. And so I absolutely love that. And how did it help you? If you, because I have only been reflective, now I'm using it more, for the future as well, because I'm starting to get into it. And obviously, you do reading a little bit for me today as well and explain some things. But when I look back reflective, and then I remembered some certain things in my life, it was absolutely mind blowing how it was all aligned with the planets and things like that. And I was like, wow, no wonder. But at that time, I wasn't aware of it. So it was just like, wow, it's so amazing. And for you, but obviously you know your birth chart, very well, and I'm sure you still discover things,
All the time.
ongoing
All
because
the
it's
time.
so vast.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, because as I was mentioning there about this idea of development of consciousness, because memories build up, so day by day, year by year, so forth. We have a set of, and we have decision patterns that we have. And then sometimes you really have to work into those patterns to understand them in order to then make the best part of yourself sort of come forth. And yeah, it's taken me a while to get around to it, but I've started doing a bit of psychotherapy recently. It's all right. I'm not going to say it's better than astrology because I don't think it is, but I think it helps. I think it helps move things around a bit, and it's
Hmm.
definitely given me a bit more of a fresher perspective. But
Yeah,
I still think astrology is absolutely the winner. And
yeah.
therapists, of course, don't like astrology because they know it's too true.
That brings me to a question, and I know we spoke about that offline. When you actually went to do like a counseling certificate, what experience
Oh
can you
yeah.
maybe share that just
I remember
about?
saying that now. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
I did an 8-week counselling course, and there's a certificate at the end of it. It's 2 hour lesson, maybe 2 hour lessons once a week for 8 weeks, and you have to. And there was a group of about, I don't know, 15, 20 people,
Hmm.
with one tutor, and I was doing very well. The tutor kept saying to me throughout that through the whole course, every week she'd always have some good words for me. I think you're doing very well. You listen well, and you reply well. You doing exactly what we want, and it's all very good. And I was like, great, oh fantastic. Got to the 8th week, and we did one test, one exam. Like a test, which was a counselling session, and um and uh and at the end of it, I went and said, well, I went up to the tutor. I said, I said, she goes, you've done really well. And I said, oh, thank you very much. I'm really pleased to hear that. So thinking, oh, great, she's going to pass me. I said, yeah, I think it's all probably down to the fact that I'm an astrologer. And her face dropped, and she went a bit ashen, and she went, what? I said, oh, yeah, I'm an astrologer. I've been an astrologer for about 15, but this was back in 2008. So already had done a lot of astrology. And she was just like, what? I was like, yeah, that's what I do.
Mhm.
I'm quite well known, sort of thing, for what I do. She was like, and you're doing this course? I was like, well, yeah. Oh God. She just sighed and went, oh God, like this. Anyway, she then marked everybody else and did. And she didn't look at me anymore in the classroom, or talk to me anymore. And at the end, she handed out all the certificates, and she didn't have one for me. She said, I'm sorry, I can't give you a certificate because you know what you're going to use it for. And I said, what? She goes, you know what you're going to use it for. I said, what do you mean? She goes, don't worry, just, I can't give you the certificate today.
Mhm.
And I was like,
Why do you think that is? Like, why? I mean, it's not that long ago, just under 20 years ago. I know things have
I'll tell you
shifted and
why. I'll
changed.
tell you why. It's because a lot of astrologers got in the 19, particularly, let's just say, old style astrology, yeah, but even including the 1970s and the 1980s, and even into the 90s, people be very deterministic. Yeah, you will be this, you will be that. That is what is happening, and predictive
Mhm.
work. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I knew when I was learning that I couldn't do that. I knew that there was going to have to be something else that I had to bring in. There was something I'm going to have to evolve it or do something with it. So I ended up doing things like NLP. I did for a while. I've forgotten it all now, but it's in there somewhere. In my technique, I guess. but I did a lot of that sort of stuff, you know, hypnotism, all hypnosis, and all. I learned all the different things, and I was trying to look at ways that people communicate to one another in order to get messages across, you know. So I could do a
Mm.
chart and do it in a way that makes people feel really good about themselves. Because I had a couple of readings in the early days with astrologers, so all in my local area, because I'm from originally really Brighton and Hove. So, you know, and I'm further down the south coast from that now, but that's my original city of birth. That's my hometown. And there were there were a few astrologers scattered around, old hippies and things, you know. And I used to be like, go and talk to them about astrology. And some of them were very fatalistic, you know, and I didn't like that because I thought that too much fatalism could make someone worried, you know, be like, oh, I don't know, you know. So I like to be far more open-ended about it and far more fluid, and anything can change, you know.
Mm.
As a result of that, I've published my first book of astrology, which, by the way, is called The Divine Order. And
Yes.
that's on Amazon. Okay. It's also on my website. So it's The Divine Order by Julian Venables. And
Yeah.
so you can get it on Amazon as paperback or as Kindle. And you can buy it on my website if you want a nice glossy version. And I'll sign it to anybody who wants, you know, buys it from
Oh,
me.
yes.
It's a signed copy. So, but I've created, or not created, but I've realized or recognized a very original way to do astrology. Again, and it's about the difference between awareness and consciousness. And so, and it has at its basis true nature and non-duality. So then that's a very spiritual thing, because non-duality is recognizing that we are not separate from the world. So
Mm.
what humanity has been through for about at least 400 years, and I mean completely, I'm going to say lost in it, you know, is the idea that that we are separate from the world. Each person is separate. I am not part of the world that's happening. Yeah.
Mhm.
And people are taught that way. They're taught to believe that. They're taught to practice in that way. And they do their whole lives in that way, which is why we have a very big split and schism in the world between us and nature at the moment. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
massive breakaway. Why are we not managing the Earth's resources very well? Why is there so much separatism in the world, you know, and conflict? Yeah, it's a different level of you know, why are all these things happening? It's because people need to be to find their true nature, which is unity and oneness with all things. The very fact that I'm talking to you right now is a manifestation of my mind. Yeah,
Mhm.
right, because you are on the screen. Yeah, but that whole thing and everything in the space around me is just a visual and audio thing. Yeah. So it's coming in and I'm getting imagery based on that that's making me speak. That's very profound. It's very deeply cosmic, but
Yeah.
it's the truth. Yeah.
Mhm.
Everything is a manifestation of mind.
Mhm. I absolutely love that. I love that because that was one of my questions here, and you get that possibly asked quite often about what you just said. Like, firstly, this, you know, when they were like so more determined and using astrology predictively, like this is how it's gonna go, and completely leaving out the multidimensionality that we actually living in, and that we are multidimensional beings. And like you perfectly explain it with the triplets, right? They have all the same map, but because of their choices and their own unique experience, it will shape up into something different. They enter a different timeline, and that's how it's
Yeah.
supposed to be. Because you will never experience the world how I experience it, and vice versa. You know, we all have a unique experience. We all see it through our unique set of eyes, our mind, our thoughts, everything. And at the same time, we are all one, which is so mind-blowing, right? Our mind will never be able to grasp it. You mentioned your unique astrology style. I love that. I love how you were talking about it, like you make it your own, and you know, like you took a pinch of that and NLP and hypnosis and just, you know, your own unique technique. And obviously you are the transmitter of that energy, so it is your beautiful unique energy. And I know that you have looked at my birth chart, and we were saying it would be great to have a bit of like some practical experience for people who are listening to us live. And because you started to speak about astrocartography, and because I shared my story about, because New Zealand was I spent almost 12 years in New Zealand, and obviously I was in my chart, possibly somewhere to go there, or maybe a higher potential, because I intuitively chose that country, and aligned with my soul. And a lot of things happened there, a lot of things. I would say there was probably like a tumble, like in a washing machine, like lots of things. But mainly also I started boxing there, and my Saturn return was there when I was 30, although I wasn't consciously aware about that exactly at the time with astrology. But looking back now, this is when I started actually boxing, and boxing is definitely one of my biggest imprints on my soul as well, and very, very important for my soul. It was a missing piece that I needed in order to accelerate my awakening, remembering of my soul, and what I'm here for to do, and giving me the edge, giving me a powerful tool, that was always lingering beneath, but I never really accessed it. And one part was for me to actually express my full, raw, authentic being, and that also included anger, frustration. And I'm not saying, guys, that although it was always depicted like that in TV, that boxing is all about anger, it's actually the opposite. It's actually about focus and being calm and being dropped into that moment, and all the beautiful things along with it, like discipline and all that stuff. But I was actually able to express anger and to really have this fire energy, which you probably saw in my chart as well. Lots of fire, right? Lots of fire. The element fire is very well dominant and represented. And I needed that outlet. I never knew that this will be. I have been an athlete since I was young. So always I need to move. It's just part of me. Otherwise it gets stuck. And boxing was one of the things. And I was quite successful within a short time for considering, I started late and all that stuff. So how would you first and foremost, do your magic. We can start talking a bit about like general landscaping, maybe, for because people usually think they know their sun sign. It's so interesting, right? They know their sun sign and they base everything of it, but it's so shallow, right? So I leave the stage is all yours, because that's your magic here.
Right. Okay. So thanks. Now talk about sun signs. Okay. You have the sun in Leo, and Leo is a very it's the sun basically represents personality, and how you express yourself in the world, and it's how do you sort of shine in your life, and I don't think you struggle to shine, because your sun's very dignified in Leo. It's very strong, so you're good-hearted, and you have a sunny personality, and you like an audience, you like people, you like to be able to shine with people, and you like to attract some attention is a good thing for you, because then your enthusiasm and your sense of fun can sort of light the spark of the world around you, and you have a very sort of like a generous nature, and you have goodwill with others, and you like to play. And for you, in a way, the playing is actually like boxing, because it's like quite sporty, right? So there's it's about how you take that energy and make it happen in your life. Now that you've actually got 3 planets with the sun in Leo, 3 other planets. You have 4 planets in Leo, and the 3 other planets are Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And they are so close to the sun that they are called under the sun's beams.
Oh, wow.
Imagine being an ancient astrologer, or whatever, in the days of old, you can't look at the sun. It's too bright to look at it. It's too powerful. The light source is too powerful. People cannot look at the sun. They have to shade you can't look at the sun directly, can you? Right?
No.
So when you have planets in your chart that are under the sun's beams, it means that the planets are concealed by the sun's rays because the sun is so powerful. So you can't see the reflections of the other planets. So your Mercury, your Venus, and your Mars are under sunbeams. What that means is that your sense of self is so strong, which is an amazing thing, right? That it at the same time, it's almost as if you've got, you know, a uh, the light is fused with the other planets. So they it's like a one energy. It's like one type of energy. Okay. So
Mhm.
let's take the fact that Mercury is with the sun, makes you a very effective communicator. Okay. So you enjoy intellectual stimulation and you look
Mhm.
for avenues through which you can communicate your ideas.
Yeah.
You can talk quite a lot about yourself, and that's fine because you're a Leo, you know, it's expected, you know,
Yeah.
it's a natural, yeah, to do that. And you might like to talk about what really focuses about how you're developing in the world, the things you're learning, your belief systems. All these are very important things to be part of. Your sun is also conjunct Venus, okay? And Venus is the planet of relationships. So that makes you very loving and charming
Mm.
because that's the best attributes of Venus are relationship, okay? So you can express yourself in an affectionate way and you like the company of other people and you enjoy art and you enjoy beautiful things. And you can be quite idealistic, you know, and you can be quite sensitive as well.
Mm.
And then you have the conjunction to Mars. And Mars, of course, is the planet that does rule boxing. Okay. So,
Mm.
and physicality, physical energy, and being on the move. And you just said that I'm on the move. I have to keep moving. And that's
Mm.
because the Mars energy. So you've got Mars and the sun together. And this makes you hardworking and energetic, and it can be very impulsive. So you have
Mm.
a love of adventure, you know, you want to have an outlet for your boundless energy, you take the risks, you know, you take the initiative, so you're like, right, let's go and do that, or let's start this, or let's get going with that. And that's what people will know you for that, you know, and
Mm.
they'll appreciate you for that. Okay.
Mm.
So all this fusion together of all these things is part of your of you being who you are. Okay.
Mm.
So it's about having a strong sense of self and a very strongly developed personality. And Leo likes to be center stage. Okay. So it likes to be noticed and in the center of things. So
Mm.
whatever you do in life, you want to be naturally get noticed. Yeah.
Mm.
And that's a
Yeah.
good thing. Not everybody's like that. So we need, you know, Leos are very, you know, it's one of the best signs actually because it's well, all
Because
the
you're
signs
one
are
too.
good. Don't get me wrong here. All 12 signs are the faces of creation, you know. But
Mm.
basically, the power of Leo is to shine in yourself and to really get purposeful and to really
Mm.
have and really build a strong ego and a strong identity around creativity. Okay, around
Mm.
creativity.
Yeah. Can I
And
just jump?
mm,
Sorry, just
yeah.
say something about that because I experienced the opposite, and it's the shadow side, right? When I'm not able to express myself. And with the center stage, it's not so much about being egotistical. Hey, look at me, look at me. It's about like giving, creating joy, spreading energy, right? Like and giving, like this is what I feel like what is what I do, what I love to do. But yeah, of course, there is some reflection back, and then you
Yeah.
get the intention for that. But I realized when I don't express myself creatively, when I don't play, when I don't move, when I'm basically stuck. And when someone tries to, put me in a cage or in a base, I'm like, I will die inside, energetically, emotionally, it will not be good. And I will literally be like, I will just not be me, and I have done that before, of course, because I was trying to fit in. I was trying to
Yeah.
adjust and not be too much, because it can be quite a powerhouse, a Leo energy, right? They can be quite strong, and not everybody
Very
can
much
handle
so.
that. Yeah. So.
Very much so. So,
Mm.
okay. So the area of life, all right, these four planets in Leo are in a particular area of life, which is called in your chart called the ninth house. and this is about travel. Okay, it's about being on the move.
Mm.
And so you are someone who will get the most creative when they're free to move around and travel. All right. And that's a
Yeah.
very, very key and important factor for you. And that's what keeps you, even though you said, oh, I don't feel I don't feel like I'm like that, well, there's other reasons why. I'm going to explain it, okay? The Leo planets is when you're on the move and you're being yourself and you're not encumbered by anything, then you're free to be yourself. Now you also happen to have Saturn, okay, which is and Saturn is the planet of responsibility, boundaries, and structure, okay,
Mm.
and it can be very limiting. It's a planet that literally is about limits and restrictions, responsibilities, commitments, obligations, and it limits development. It says it forces you into reassess everything. Yeah. And Saturn can be quite a downer, right? It can be quite a down player. It's
Yeah.
not Saturn is not fun. Okay, it's the opposite to
Yeah.
having fun. So you have Saturn in Sagittarius, which is very philosophical, right? So you look at life as a big learning journey. And you like to look at the bigger picture rather than get bogged down into details. So it's about being quite easygoing and optimistic, yet it's in a part of your chart called the first house. And the first house is about having an early reticence to express yourself. It might have been very difficult. Yeah. You might have felt very inadequate when you were growing up because there might have been you might have felt very controlled by others and unable to express yourself.
Mm.
And it turned you to become very responsible and reliable and probably very cautious about things and quite held back in certain ways.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, my vitality is, I've got, but you've got so much fire in your chart. In fact, actually, your elemental balance is all fire and air. Yeah. And which makes you very, very, you burn very brightly, shall we say. You've got so
Mm.
much outgoing energy. It's all up and out, yeah. And there's
Mm.
not much that goes. The other energies are water and earth. The other elements are water and earth, which go inwards and downwards, yeah. So fire and air go upwards and outwards, right? That's the
Mm.
kind of energy flow, and water and earth go in and down. So water
Mm.
and earth people tend to be very, feelings and thoughtful, very, very sort of, they're just a different type of person. You are very outgoing, and you need to recognize that and keep using that. Let yourself be like that, because it's, don't feel don't compare yourself to others. All right.
Mm.
You are brilliantly unique, right? And you will shine in ways that other people wish they could be like you, right? Because you would get someone who's got a lot of water and earth planets, yeah, and they go, oh my God, I so want to be like Mia. Yeah.
Yeah.
People lacking in fire planets want to be fiery. People lacking in any element, if you lack an element, you want that element very strongly. Okay, so you try all the things you to do to try and get as much of that element as you can. Yeah.
Mm.
You're naturally an incredibly outgoing, positively a spark plug for the world, who gets people enthusiastic, who gets people going, and you can do a lot for humanity. Yeah, you can do a lot for business as well, actually, because that Saturn's very strong in your chart. But humanity, yeah, is good as well. And you've got Saturn with Uranus, and that's why I say humanity as well. You can do things that change the world, and
Mm.
and it's just about recognizing how to best do that. Now your Saturn opposes the moon. Okay, so you've got Saturn opposite the moon, which is quite a challenge. But it's nothing that you can't handle, and basically it's about recognizing that it's like where you might go, I feel neglected by the ones I who by my loved ones, yeah, and it's like, where's that right person who can be the right caring person that I need? And so you might be requiring what you actually would do well with is another Gemini, a Gemini, bigger part, as a Gemini, because your moon's in Gemini and your relationship angles in Gemini, and that would be very good for you. A Gemini might be absolutely brilliant for you, by the way. Uh, as would an Aries also might be very good for you. Yeah. And so there's a couple of signs that you might need to go to sort of connect with. Libras can be good as well. Libras work very well with Leos because
Yes.
they actually need that Leo light, yeah, to help guide them. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Geminis
funny
can
you
be a
say
bit
that.
indifferent and a bit superficial about things because they're so airy, but a Libra could work very well for you, actually.
Yeah, I have quite a few Libra friends and Gemini as well, and I work very well with them. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah.
my first boyfriend was a Libra, and my last two partners were actually Sagittarius, early Sagittarius, I think. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So ultimately with the Saturn opposite the moon, your lesson is to value yourself and to find the love within yourself, which is what you're doing already. You're doing that, and you're doing it really brilliantly. And you also build your own sense of self-esteem. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you do all those things already, Mia, because you go a podcast and you're very spiritual, and these things are helping you lift yourself up and out into the world, to be seen to be the wonderful star that you are. Yeah.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
yeah, absolutely. I think you've got a really, really fascinating chart for self, for getting out there. You've got to, you know, you might be good. It might be a thing to think about would be to write your own story. Yeah. About
Yeah.
what you've been through. Yeah. So,
I already am honest. I already like starting to write my book, like, like keep the pages because I'm journaling. I don't know, I didn't tell you in our talk, but I journal since I'm 10 years old because it was my way of expression. At that time, you're very spot on with everything. Like I was very put down when I was little and I had to take on responsibility so quickly. That's why I stopped playing. And that's what I meant. When I stop playing, then of course I can't shine because I need this playful energy and like that's how I thrive. And so yeah, you were spot on with that. So yeah, thank you. It's
mm,
amazing.
mm, mm. So one of your major lessons in this lifetime is to actually be more assertive and to become self-empowered. Okay.
Mm,
So you might find sometimes you can get a bit indecisive and you always consider the needs of others first. But
mm,
actually you need to discover your own identity and initiate your own projects and that way you develop a responsibility for yourself by
mm,
doing your own thing. That's quite important as well. Okay.
mm. Yeah, powerful. Wow, that's
Mm.
amazing. And when you now look at what we said, the astrocartography, what with New Zealand, what was there like did you think, like, I know you said that before because now you put the chart, like my birth chart, onto the chart of New Zealand, so basically that activated the specific parts like the Mars
Yes.
within me and stuff like that, yeah, with the
Yes.
boxing.
Yes. I mean, the fact that you've got, by the way, I want to look at the moon in Gemini first, just quickly with you, because
Mm.
it's a very
You do
important
your magic.
point.
I just let you lead that. You are totally the
Yeah.
master
And
of
then we're
that.
going to go to the maps in a minute, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
the moon is very much about your feelings and your basic needs. So, what do you feel, what do you need to feel good in life? And for you, I would say a good discussion, a good conversation, being intellectual with others, just getting you to, always moving forwards with conversation,
Mm,
with questioning or answering things, and um, and that's what you needed to do right from your earliest years would be to converse with people, yeah, to be
mhm.
chatty, to be friendly and chatty, as it
Yeah.
were. And you're very curious and you seek answers to many questions, but you also need to have a lot of fun, and you know, you basically, you know, being very inventive, being very entertaining. Yeah. And you do this through relating to others. Yeah. So it's the relationship via things like podcasts, for example, how you relate to others. Yeah. Which is why I think you do very well with the Gemini.
You're right. I need that, and to be intellectually stimulated. I had a relationship where that wasn't the case, and that was so flat for me. It wasn't fulfilling because I wasn't, intellectually we wouldn't connect. Everything else may have been we're connected, but that part is so important, and I cannot do with shallow conversations. I'm just getting bored after 1 minute. Like I need to be stimulated, question things. I want to discover, explore about other people too. Their story. I absolutely love to hear other people's stories. That's why the podcast, and I'm so intrigued about your story, and that's why, asking all the questions. So yeah, you're spot on with that.
Yeah. You've got some really, really, I mean, I think you've got a lot to give creatively to this world. Okay. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. And I think if we look at the maps, the reason you want to talk today as well was about finding the right place in the world, right?
Yeah, because I'm on this journey at the moment for sure. Yeah. I have an
So
idea soul wise what that will look like, but I want you to read the chart first, and then I can tell you what my insights are.
yeah. So I've got a map of the world now with your chart on it. I'm going to send you that later, okay?
Of course, yeah.
Um, but tell me, let's start by just, you say at the moment you're in
Spain.
Spain. So where you are right now in Spain is you actually have what's called the planet Uranus is going through Spain. It runs to the eastern side of Gibraltar. Yeah. Which I think is where you are, isn't it?
Yeah, I am actually of the eastern side of Gibraltar. This is so funny. And I feel, can I just add that for people out there, like to who listening, I didn't know that. And intuitively, because I started further north, like not north, but I was always along Andalusia, and I started in Murcia. So anybody who's interested in Spain, and then through my nomadic lifestyle and doing the trusted house sitters, I went further down. In between was 1 month in Portugal, but of course my soul drew me back to Spain. It was absolutely clear for me, and now I don't want to move up again. I got someone asked me about to come to the Costa del Sol, where I was before, and yeah, it's beautiful there. But my soul really wants to be here at this point. I am east of Gibraltar right now, like Chiclana area, Cadiz, and I don't want to go anywhere else right now. So
yeah, excellent. And if you were to go, you see the way these lines work is this Uranus line goes right the way through Europe. Okay. So it starts, and I know that you're born reasonably close to Berlin. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
North and west of Berlin is where you were born. And that Uranus line runs very close to that because you've already got Uranus in your chart very strongly, sort of on your ascendant. So it's a very strong planet for you, which means it means you're always on the go. It's like you are. I think you describe yourself as a nomad, and it's true. You are a nomad. And I don't think you'll ever. I think you're someone who's always meant to be doing that. But celebrate that fact. You know what I mean? Again,
Yeah.
don't ever compare yourself to others because you are extremely unique, and in that way offer so much to the world that's unique and different. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you for confirming that, because
Yes.
guess what? Someone asked me today, will you ever want to have a house in one place? And I said, sure, but I will not stay there the whole year. I will be traveling.
Yes.
It just doesn't
Yes.
feel right to me. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Absolutely. So keep that open for yourself, all the idea all the time of being free to go places and do whatever you want to do. Whatever the feeling takes you, you can go to it. Now that Uranus line runs from north of Berlin, yeah, and then it goes south of Luxembourg, north of Lyon in France, It goes almost directly through Toulouse, and then it goes through Spain, and it's going to the west of Valencia, and then it goes down and through the east of Gibraltar. Does that make sense? If you,
Yeah.
what I've tried to describe to you there is a diagonal line that's going through Europe. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that Uranus line. Now, if you were to go west of that line, right, which I think is where you are actually west of it, then that means Uranus is in your first house of your chart. So it's really expressive. If you were to go to the west of that line, so for example, if you were to go to Switzerland or Austria or Italy or anywhere further west, further east of that line. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Greece or anywhere else in Eastern Europe. Yeah. Then that Uranus line wouldn't play such a strong role as it's playing right now. Okay. Does that make sense? Where you
Yeah.
are, east of Gibraltar, is bang on the line, pretty much, right? So if you want more excitement and you want more change in your life, yeah, then you're in the right place for that. Yeah. So it can be a very exciting place to go to, yeah, because you'll be open to new and unique experiences. And you might say that magic happens, and you're likely to be even more independent, and surprising yourself with new and inventive ways of doing things. So it's a good place to break out of old patterns and embrace new ways of expressing yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Just expressing yourself and expressing your individuality is very strong on this line. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually enjoying the roller coaster ride. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and let yourself be that rebel. Just let yourself be who you are. Just express it because you're in the right place for it. Yeah. So Spain is really good for that. All right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and particularly where you are, I mean, if you went to the east coast of Spain, so if you went to Barcelona or Valencia or say the Balearic Islands, Ibiza, Mallorca or something, right? You wouldn't be on that Uranus line anymore. Or the south of France, you wouldn't be on that Uranus line. So it would dial down a bit. It wouldn't be quite so intense. I think you're actually in a very intense place at the moment. Now
Oh,
that
yes.
it can be fun, yeah.
Mhm.
But just so you know that, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'll
I
send you the
absolutely
map
am
I'll
blown
send you a
away.
map in as an email.
Yeah, I am blown away because it just makes so much sense. And I realized because I can just tell you how I felt energetically and emotionally. Of course, roller coaster, big time. Ego death, a million times. Like I had to let go of so much. But I also the difference when I was in Portugal, which is further west.
Yes.
I mixed it up before, right, with west and east.
Yes.
Sorry about that, guys. I missed geography classes. I got kicked out all the time. But anyway, when I was in Portugal, I remember it was a deep dive. It was a deep dive of healing, like going really deep. A lot of things were shook up. And I guess that was, I don't know why, but I felt like I needed to come back to Spain. And as I said to you before, I never felt I wanted to go to Barcelona or Valencia. Not that I think it's not pretty there, but I never felt drawn to the places. My soul really wanted to be here, like really needs to be here. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and then
Right.
I'm going to Australia for a couple of months around October. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So you want to look at Australia? Should we look at Australia?
Yeah. What is Australia, and yeah, what would be happening there, like possibly?
So hang on. A minute. I'll move the map. There we go. Now, Australia. Okay. Now, funnily enough, you've got that Uranian line, yeah, is still very active in North Island, New Zealand. In the North Island of New Zealand. And it clips that, I think it's called the Coromandel Peninsula. Does that
Yeah.
make sense to you?
Yes, I understand.
That's
I
to the
can.
east of Auckland, that Uranian line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got a Saturn line that goes through South Island, New Zealand. So your Saturn line, which is far more grounding and again, well, it because you've got Saturn in a fire sign, it's far more philosophical, but it's more it's a bit more slow you down a bit more. You know, the Uranian lines, as I said, is really get up and go and wow, what can we do today? What can I do today? It's so exciting. So that's New Zealand. In Australia, by the way, and I was just looking at New Zealand for you to explain that.
No, I know because we were
Yeah,
wanting to talk about the boxing about that, but let's go Australia first, yeah, to see.
yes,
And that will be Western Australia, by the way. I go Western Australia, yeah, Perth.
right. You
Yeah.
have a Pluto line, okay, going just beside Perth.
Oof,
Yeah,
transformation.
and this is very significant for personal and business unions. Okay, so this is all about relationships. All right,
Mm,
but you might get, it could be called an intense honesty, yeah, about relationship, yeah. So if you're with a partner and you go there, you're going to be like, wow, does this really work? Or you go there and you meet someone who is tells you the truth in no uncertain terms, and you're like, whoa, am I ready for that? Because it's Pluto, you see. So Pluto's an incredibly powerful planet of Pluto tends to recycle things in our psyche, in our ego. So it digs up the past, it digs up old patterns, it exposes it to our ego, and then says, right, now it's time to get rid of that and rebirth yourself. And so you have a rebirth, okay? And
mm,
sometimes that's welcome. It's like, yeah, that's actually really useful, you know? But sometimes it isn't useful, right? Because you're like, God, it's gonna knock me out to know that, you know? So if you go to Perth, right, and particularly slightly north of Perth, there's a town called Geraldton, just north of Perth,
mm.
and that actually is exactly where the Pluto line crosses, and then it goes up the western coast of Australia, which is where all the national parks and the dolphins are. That
Yeah.
up that west coast there, that's where your Pluto line's running. And now you could meet someone who is really mind-blowingly good for you because you get very intimate, you get committed, you get great understanding of each other and the nature of relationship, and you forge a really strong bond. However, if either you or your partner is unable to embrace adjustments required, then it's like, oh my God, we've got to finish this, right?
Mm.
But however, if you're single and you go there, then it's possible that you meet someone who changes your life forever. Oh my God, right? You just go, why did I meet you before? You know? So you go there and you're like, wow, it's amazing. Okay.
Mm.
So either way, it's going to be very powerful. All right.
Mm.
All
Mhm.
right. So you're looking at
Yeah.
that west coast of Australia, including Perth. Yeah.
Mm.
It could be very, very powerful for you. All right.
Yes.
And
Wow.
and so I would say, is uh, look out for someone who really, if you go with someone, look out for them changing while you're there, right? Or look out for the person who's going to make you feel like you've got to change.
Okay.
Okay? How
Okay,
about that?
very well.
All
Wow.
right?
Because I'm gonna be there, gonna go there alone. That's for sure. And I
Yes.
said like how you said like the personal business union because I will go and see my soul family and we're doing business collaborations together as well. That's why I will stay a couple of months. And they are in Perth, yeah, the coast side there, and it's powerful. It's very powerful what you just said. It's like mind blowing. But thank you for the map. I can feel it. I got this instant feeling in my chest, in my heart chakra. Yeah, there was a bit of fear, like oh my gosh, because I went through so much transformation and roller
Yeah.
coaster. I'm like, oh, I don't want that right now. I don't want that. But
So,
at the same time, there was also excitement. But
yeah,
with what you said before, being really discerning of this energy, but also like really being in my center and my power and my sense of self and really
yes,
the what I'm doing right now, creating this relationship with myself, really bonding, really the great foundation. And then, yes, the storm still may come, will
yeah,
be still there, but I
yeah.
have my roots, and now, okay.
Just to round that one up, and so you know where it goes as well. That Pluto line not only goes through Australia, it then goes directly north and it goes literally through Bali.
You know what? I'm meant to go to Bali at the end of the year because we are doing some business over there too. So
Yeah, Bali. Yeah,
what are the odds?
and yeah, and then it also goes through Hong Kong.
Okay. So
And,
guys,
and it also goes through Beijing.
okay, wow. Who
All right.
knows? I might end up there.
So
But
that's that
isn't it
line. I mean, you
amazing?
can literally get a ruler on a map and draw that line. It goes Beijing, Hong Kong, Bali, Perth.
Oh wow. Honestly, you can't make this up. And you didn't know about my plans. You didn't know about that. I just asked you now,
Well, I'm going
right?
to tell you when the right time to go to get that Pluto line activated in a very good way.
Okay, now I'm gonna
All
be
you need to know
very
now, right, is that when you cross that line, is that you can meet powerful allies who change the course of your life and enrich it in ways you never dreamed possible. So if you are going to be doing business there, it could be a very good time to do business.
when? Now?
I will tell you when now. Hang on. Let me just work that out for you. Hang on a sec.
It's okay.
You need to go there quite soon, actually, because Jupiter's going to be trining your Pluto quite soon. So let me just look that up for you. Hang on.
Wow.
Jupiter. So if there's anything to do with preparing that trip or getting out there now, then go and do it because Jupiter's gone into a water sign and your Pluto's in a water sign. So you want to Jupiter trine Pluto. So if you're hang on, it's quite soon. Wait a minute.
It's okay.
I mean, if you can go in July, yeah, can go in July. If you can be in Australia by July the 1st, yeah, and in Perth or north of Perth, or in Bali, yeah, in July, by July the 1st, then you can get that wave because the strongest moment for Jupiter, let me just check this. Yeah, yeah. The strongest moment is just a few dates, and that is precisely the 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th of July.
Okay. Yeah, probably gonna miss that one. But
All
it's
right,
okay.
I'm just telling you. But it doesn't matter if you're on that line or not, right? That line would, if you were there on the 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th of July, on that line that goes through Perth, Bali, Beijing, right? If you won that line then, it would be about relationships. It would be about meeting someone who can empower you, right? But we
Mm.
can also find another place in the world for your Pluto line, right? Okay? Does this make sense? Good place for you to be. All right?
Mhm.
In July, if you could happen to be there in July.
Mhm.
Maybe I should give you more time, but I'll give you an example, right? So that's another
Yeah.
part of the world that you could have been in, right? You could go to. You go there, then your Pluto line is powerful, okay?
Mhm.
And this changes the course of your life and possibly those closest to you. The face that you present to the public, whether through your career, is irrevocably changed. So it's a powerful location. So here you'll learn about power, right? So you could go there and learn about power, right? So you might get involved in battles with authority figures or battling to place yourself in a position of power. You might not be aware of the impact that you have on other people at this time along this line, or perhaps you're well aware that you've got this power, right? Either way, your life is changed by setting you in a new direction. So the Jupiter trine, the Jupiter working well with this Pluto, can put you in touch with quite powerful people with a lot of feeling. So Vilnius is another city. So Vilnius, Riga, and Tallinn. So Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. Yeah,
Mhm.
those
Mhm.
three cities. Yeah, they're all in a
Yeah.
line. Yeah, you want to go along those or Helsinki, and then you go down. You got Warsaw's quite far away. I mean, it's going through, I mean, you're not going to go to Ukraine, are you? But it goes through Ukraine. I'd have to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you've got Sofia in Bulgaria, right? And then you've got Greece, Athens. Okay.
Mhm.
It also goes through Africa if that interests you. But yeah,
Yeah. 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 I had yeah.
if
I
you were
was
to go
interested.
to Port Elizabeth in South Africa, right?
Yeah.
you'll be bang on your Pluto line.
Okay.
I'm just giving you some examples because I'm looking at the world atlas, yeah. So it's like all
Yeah.
these different places, yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating. I find it super fascinating. I know we could possibly go on for hours and do different things, but it was just like, it's so good. It's so
I've
good.
given you an example though, Mia, of what's happening now with Pluto, right? That's
Yeah.
that's a line that you can pick up on immediately, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Jupiter's in a water sign right now, and it's going to make good aspect to your Pluto in your chart. So I've highlighted that Pluto for you in 4 different locations. Okay?
Okay.
Right?
Perfect. Yeah.
And that's for you to then choose to do something with. Even if you stay in Spain, when Jupiter trines your Pluto, you'll be like, I'm meeting interesting people, right? There's going to be something that happens there. Yeah, it's still something going to happen. It's if you go to a line, it goes super double powerful. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like bringing on the power. Now, by the way,
Yeah.
all
No, I
right,
really appreciate that. It was so in detail. It was so fascinating and amazing. And of course, there's so much more to it. It was just an example for people to see. And then you have specific questions. It could be like you said, with the relationships and business and boxing. That was my main, my main question in that case, because that's my focus. And but then people could say where about health, where's the best, where my health
yeah,
vibrates the
yeah,
best, or
yeah,
my entire being and stuff. And I also love the fact, and I know that you confirmed that I will always be having this nomadic lifestyle. And I feel like, because when I was in New Zealand, I lived there for 12 years, and even though I was moving within New Zealand quite a bit, not too much between the islands, but within the Northern Island a little bit, but I felt like how I was getting stuck more and more and more and more. And that's why I needed to break free. I just needed to go from this island, and I just wanted to come to Europe with lots of more expansion. And I had this really this feeling of breaking free. So yeah. And now I just can't imagine being in one place anymore like that. I just it's not
yeah,
because I'm unsettled. It just
yeah,
doesn't stimulate me, and I just need to move around. I will want to have a base, like a base where you always can
yeah,
retreat to
yeah,
and stuff. But in general, I have to move. You are, and you're right. With the not comparing, and for everybody, very important. Always be you. Do you like what lights you up, and
yes,
what lights me up is possibly something that other people think, no, I don't want that life. I came to the point now in my life, I don't want anybody else's life. I love creating my life. I really do, with all the
yeah,
challenges, with everything that's happening, and all the moments when you crawl on your knees and you don't understand and whatnot. But it's so, I have no intentional interest in living someone else's life anymore, because
absolutely.
I know I can create it, and I know you are doing the same. So, which is powerful. And man, the expertise you have, and all the different tools, and your technique is just amazing, because I love how you bring it all in. You can tell that you have this open mind, and you bring in the energy part, the cosmos, the divine, which I absolutely love, as you know. I'm doing all my spiritual practices, too. And so it's beautiful. I felt like, what I felt like when you said about these places, I could have easily been like, oh, I don't want to go there, and this doesn't align with me. And it's really important to follow that feeling too. I have no intention to go to the Eastern European countries or Canada or whatever right now. Also, I don't want to go right now to Australia. It doesn't align with me. And as you said, it doesn't have to be that way. Of course, it is amplified 10x when I'm on that line at that time in that place, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen in my chart. But my soul feels much better here right now for the next couple of months, and there will be changes. I will be meeting interesting people, and it will come through in a more subtle way, which makes sense to me, because I had a lot of disruption, lots of changes, sudden changes. That is possibly all I can handle right now. It's about is my vessel ready to receive that, and that's okay too. But seeing the map and be like, wow, that could be some really good amplified Jedi shit there when I go there. Or you just decide, no, you know what? Like you said with the river at the beginning, I don't want to jump onto that current right now. I don't feel quite strong enough to hold the current, and that's totally fine too. You will never, that's what I live by. What is meant for you, you will never miss. It will always find you. Maybe later, maybe slower,
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
will always be with you. It will always find you. Absolutely believe that. So,
absolutely.
um, Yeah, that was amazing. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so blown away. There's so much for me to take away. And there was like a, activation, transmission, which is
Yeah, yeah,
I really appreciate your energy and showcasing that to people. So anybody, not just astrocartography, but you also do compatibility charts, right? For
yes,
couples. I
yes,
know.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. People are always interested in that. I know
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
you touch base superficially a little bit on what kind of signs would be compatible for me, and when like um that when you work with people, like what are you also telling them their challenges, their potential challenges? Because I am all about that too, like asking what
Yes,
could be my potential challenges and stuff. You do that too? Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Beautiful.
you're going through an amazing phase right now, okay? Because there's a lot of outer planets are moving into fire and air signs. So wherever you go and find yourself soon, you're going to be going through all these big shifts. There's a lot of big, exciting things happening that's going to work well with your own chart, okay?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
go and find that place that you can do more training, more, the career moves that you need.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You will
feel it.
find,
Sorry.
yeah,
You go. Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
good things on
Because
the way.
yeah, I feel it because the last year was all clearing and preparation. And now it's the initiation and then reaping the fruits. I feel though, and from my own little bit of understanding, that next year there's a lot of stuff like even coming. But right now, I need to make the moves. I need to initiate it and actually allow it to happen and, set certain actions in motion. If I was to just go now, what doesn't what wouldn't suit me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but intuitively what I picked up, because I got a few times I got pulled into maybe I should go into, how would you say, like a retreat, or there's Vipassana retreats, for 10, 12 days, being silent and quiet. This would not serve me right now. This would absolutely not serve me right now. I know that, even though I had
Yeah,
like moments where I'm like, yeah, maybe a day. That's cool. Maybe go a day in nature, just meditate for a full day if that's something I'm, pulled into, just to the sacred silence, to be
yeah,
like a fire starter again for the
yeah.
next day to take action. But for me right now, it's all about expansion and go, 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 go. And I can feel it. I do, like I do very, my whole like schedule has shifted, my whole like routine, my cycle, like I do my whole, everything changed, like everything. I don't even know who I was,
Yeah, yeah.
like it's incredible. Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, thank you for
Brilliant.
confirming that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. And we can talk again, right? Because we've got another session booked.
Yes, yeah, we do. And I just wanted to have some closing questions because I know it was a lot about, that the work you do. And when you, just for listeners, what does talking, giving a bit of Julian away, not just taking over here me as best chat. What does living a soul aligned life mean to you, like personally? What do you now do these days? I know you have had this amazing, incredible life too, with lots of experience, different countries, but what do you do these days to
Listening to your
align?
inner voice. Listening to
Hmm?
your inner voice.
Yeah.
Not doing what other people think you should do,
Mm.
but listen to what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Powerful. That's actually it, and very simple like that, right? Listen
And
to your inner
sometimes, and
voice.
sometimes you might be like, why I listened to my voice telling me to do that, and now I'm doing it, and now I'm here, and it's like, oh, well, what happened,
Hmm.
But that can be part of it, you see. So
Hmm. And before we close that off, and guys, this was just the first podcast is doing. The next one we will go and dive deeper also into your divine order to
yeah,
put more into that, because I'm
yeah,
really really
we'll look
interested
into
in
that.
that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely want to get the book myself with a signature, please. Personal message.
Yes, yes, yes.
But to finish off that beautiful, beautiful transmission, like, is there a message from the stars, from your heart, that you would like to leave our listeners today with, like maybe a little bit of a inkling? I know there's lots happening in the sky right now, a lot,
The
and
Jupiter Saturn square is a big one. I'd like to say follow me. I'm on all the social platforms as the London Astrologer. so that's the London Astrologer.
Yeah.
Or Julian Venables. I do little 1 minute videos of astrology. That's one thing people can do.
Mhm.
But right now in the sky, it's the Jupiter Saturn square, and it's a turning point in the world. Okay, so it peaks actually tomorrow, Sunday, at Sunday the 15th of June at 2:30 p.m. in London time. It peaks. But that means that then the world has shifted into a new direction. Something's opening and changing. And because it's Saturn, Jupiter met and they conjuncted together, they unified, fused together in December 2020. And 5 years later, they've gone around a portion of the zodiac and they're now making an aspect to each other, because Jupiter moves faster than Saturn, so they're making this aspect called a square. A square is tension and needs to make a tension that needs to do something. It's like a high pressure. It's being quite uptight about making a change or doing something different. Because it's what's called an opening cycle. So the whole world is going, something just happened. Like in these last 3 days, right? Something has happened. It's really big. It's so big that what's happening, how are we going to, the world's changing because of it. It might not be a good direction. It's probably unlikely to be a good direction because of the way the world is. But in each of our own lives, yeah, it's setting us on a new path. Each of us is going onto a new path because of it.
Yeah.
So it's taking the initiative, it's starting something new, it's living the truth you've always wanted to be in. That's a big one. It's like saying, okay, well, I know what I want to do. I want to be this, or I want to do that. So and that's been starting since 2020.
Yeah.
Build up now is to a point of like, that's what it is. That's what I've got to do.
Powerful. Wow. Thank you. That really dropped me into the moment. And it's powerful. So thank you so much. And thank you for your energy and your time. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It was amazing.
All right. Yeah, brilliant. And I hope people discover astrology because it's an interesting art.
Absolutely. And guys, if you want to know more about it, obviously you will find all the contact details from Julian below in the description box, and you can connect with him, you can message him, but also feel free to comment on this episode. What resonated with you the most? What did you find fascinating? Or if something was there that you find challenging to believe or you can't get your head around, we are welcoming all of it and we're happy to answer it. And I'm, of course, all the astrology questions I will forward to Julian because he's the expert in that. And thank you so much for your beautiful gift and living your truth as well. And we will record another session very soon. And thank you so much, guys, and bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Din's Talk. I hope today's conversation sparked something within you. Remember, you have the power to align with your soul, take bold action, and live a life fueled by passion. Don't forget to subscribe, share with others, and leave a comment if this episode resonated with you. And as always, do it, never stop. Until next time, keep claiming your fire and your power.